The following video has been written and created without the use of AI. Please support your human content creators by liking the video and commenting something down below. And leave a sub if you enjoy it. Thank you. Your pitter-pattering feet march through the darkness. You adjusted the cowskull mask on your head to see better, as the runes on it glowed in a red tone, to grant you vision of night, an enchantment that allowed creatures of the day, such as yourself, a human, to see in the darkness without needing a torch. You knew from experience that cave inspections were ridden with dangers, but when your scouts reported a white, cozy cave, you just had to see it for yourself. The walls of the tunnel curved in gentle, natural bends. Rough stone brushed over shoulders as you walked. The air was thick with dampness. You could smell the mineral tang, wet earth, and something older. Something that hadn't seen sunlight in centuries. Each step echoed, a soft splash when your feet struck a shallow puddle, or the crunch of loose pebbles beneath your heel. The cave pulsed with sound, drips from above, the slow gurgle of unseen water deeper in the stone. Despite that, however, the cave felt almost warm. The kind of warmth that came from being sealed away from wind and sky. A wide ledge opened to your right, slick with moss, faintly luminous in patches. You ran your hand across it, felt the soft give beneath your fingers. It wasn't hostile, it was just alive, breathing on its own. But as beautiful as this cave moss was, the cave had almost been too clean up to this point, making this patch feel deliberate, almost out of place. Your heartbeat increased a little. You passed under a low archway. This was the first time you had to duck even a little. Stone grazed the horns of your mask with a faint scrape, and on the other side, the cave opened up again. A chamber, spacious, still. The floor dipped slightly, forming a shallow basin. Water trickled down one wall, pooling quietly at the center. The water was clean. You stepped closer, crouched beside the pool. Its surface rippled at your presence, but nothing stirred within. You didn't trust it. As beautiful as it was, your tribesmen had warned of caverns like this. The old ones spoke of white-scaled sea dragons, the young ones of wild magic forming elementals in shallow waters, and so you turned slowly. The red runes on your mask glowed stronger now, as the darkness here was deeper. Even with the cave moss giving the basin a fake starry sky, the chamber was dark, and it curved back on itself. No clear exit at first glance, but there, to the far left, was a passage, thin but not narrow, wide enough for even the tallest of your tribe. But it went deep. Deeper than you ever went. And something about it called to you. Not magically, not overtly, just the echo of distance, of space beyond space. You shifted your weight, adjusting your satchel, moving towards it. Darkness in the hall was deeper, like something was devouring the concept of light, and even the runes on your mask seemed to glow fainter with every step, making your enchanted vision barely carve through it. The air grew a little warmer, however, as well as wetter. Droplets rolled down the sides of the walls. Some hung above, suspended from stalactites like glass. One fell, splashing onto your shoulder and soaking into your fur cloak. You didn't flinch, it was thick and warm, work pelt after all. You also had seen worse. But there was something about this place, the silence, the depth, the warmth, the size, hell, the moss, that made your heart beat a little faster. With a few lanterns and some blankets, sure, this place might be livable. Come to think of it, you could have a great time making this place a home. Could be cozy. The tunnel led into a new chamber. Here, warmth was practically radiating off the walls. Curiously, you placed a hand on it, and you inhaled sharply through your mouth. A thick slime coated it. Your breath slowed, and cautiously inspected the viscousness. The smell. Sadly, though, even with the mask you couldn't make out the color. And then you tried tasting it. A strange taste indeed, but you had eaten dried slime before. It was actually a delicacy in your tribe. And you were certain this tasted similar to the pre-dried slimes, which was a sour bitterness that was there to deter predators. And frankly, it was absolutely vile, but something about the slime's chemicals releasing and reacting during the drying process made them not only rubbery, but also delicious. In fact, they tasted like well-seasoned cooked noodles if sliced into strings. Somehow, but this was definitely living slime. Curious, you took a step back into the tunnel. Not quick movements. You need to be careful. Remember what you learned. There were 3 so-called major slimes. Major in the case meaning that they were the most common. Red, yellow, and blue. Red slimes were hunters, very aggressive, and since the walls didn't react aggressively when you touched them, this was a definite sign that it wasn't a red slime. Yellow slimes were very runny, and the viscousness was more in line with red and blue slimes. But then came the taste. The taste was off. Blue slimes were docile and tasted sweet to attract bugs to feed on them. Ironically, they made for the worst kind of noodles. Red ones were the best for that. And you were absolutely sure that it could not be a minor, meaning a less common slime species, simply because you were still alive. You would not survive an encounter with the more rarer poisonous slimes, and you would definitely perish should you ever encounter the strangely humanoid black slimes. And those were horrifying. They were smart and entered people's bodies, piloting them, wearing their skin until it was fully digested. Yeah, no, encountering a black slime, that was not gonna happen today. A squelching, churning sound suddenly came from the cavern. That was irregular to that of a regular cave noise. So your eyes narrowed, unsure if your mind was playing tricks on you or not. But you felt as if you could see movement. And your entire world suddenly unraveled and broke in on itself as you heard a voice. Hello? The hello echoed. They spoke common, the language of humans, dwarves, and gnomes. Less sophisticated than Elvish and more classy than gobbledygook. And the simplest to learn, as it had clearly defined words and easy sentence structure. In your tribe, learning common was required for every tall one, as the older tall ones only spoke it, and they needed to tell their stories for the tribe's survival. I see you. You don't have to be afraid. Though that might be impossible, though, once you see me. You heard more noises of movement, dripping, wet movements, when suddenly out of the darkness, into your cone of vision, appeared a thick, yellowish-blue hand. It had stubby little fingers and waved at you. You shrieked and fell backwards onto the floor. Oh, I apologize, little one. The thing sounded jolly. Well, thing might be the wrong word. The creature, the slime, the hand, it placed itself on the ground, looking almost like a spider. I haven't seen a human in such a long time. How's life? And considering what you're wearing, did humanity fall tribal again? No more kingdoms, I guess. Commenting onto your style of clothing was warranted. A crude warg pelt cloak. The only things covering your chest were a collection of beads and amulets, each one signifying the past of your tribe. A leather skirt that was wrapped around your hips, not even wearing shoes. And then came the cow skull that glowed red. It was almost scary. The hand crawled closer to you, raising one finger. It moved like the eye of a snail as it inspected you. You wear the attire of a goblin shaman. I recognize these amulets. Such lack of modesty, my friend. That's something unusual. You covered your chest, now with an arm, not because you felt watched, but more because you felt like you should be embarrassed? Oh, no need for that fake modesty, my friend. Let's talk. You clearly can speak common. What are you? You asked, your heart wouldn't stop racing. Oh dear. Well, let's see. It's better if I show you. Suddenly the walls came to life as they rumbled, and soon, through the slime coating, light came. It was the cave moss again. So much of it, that the entire cavern ceiling started glowing in a bright blue, giving light to what you had been talking to. A tall, broad humanoid shape sticking out of a mound of blue, red, yellow slime. It looked almost like a clay figure made by a child. It even wore the remains of a little top hat, as ruined as it was. You looked up. It was so bright, so beautiful, and so sudden. It made your heart skip a beat. But after you were done with your stunned awe, your eyes met the circular holes on the human shape that were meant to be clear and recognizable eyes. You placed your hands together like in prayer before bowing. It wasn't like meeting a demigod, or at least what you thought was what it felt like meeting one. Oh, no prayers needed. You'll make me blush. How would that be possible? You thought. And to answer your question, I guess I'm very complicated. He raised a finger like he suddenly got an idea. I guess for now, just call me Doey. His voice was seeping with kindness, jolliness even. Slowly you got back on your feet. You blinked as you spoke. I'm Zack. Doey said tilted to the right. It means lightning in gobbledygook. Doey scratched his chin. A gobbledygook name. You're dressed like a shaman. And then his eyes widened. Are you one of those sorceresses who enslave goblin tribes? With a strange feeling in your gut, you took a step back. No, though that would be helpful. You're an escaped prisoner, then. They enjoy their breeding stock, after all. You bit your lower lip. He was half right. Yeah, maybe a few generations ago. You said that so quickly and without thinking that Doey chuckled. You placed a hand on your mouth. You should not have said that. And from the wall behind you emerged two slimy arms. They gently placed on your shoulders, making you shiver. Doey felt warm and like any slime you ever touched before. It made you shake with surprise, but Doey just sighed. It's been so long since I touched another human. Doey blinked at you with a pleasant smile. Listen, I don't want to hurt you. If anything, I'd like to hear rumors. I want to know what's happening. I've been stuck here for so long. Stuck? Well, I mean, look at me. I can't really just waltz into the next town, can I? I suppose. To tell you the truth, you said as your eyes focused on his body, I have no rumors, though I could tell you about the feud between Jigal and one of my tribe's hunters, and Ulum, a high priestess. Doey turned out to be a great conversation partner. He was very interested in how humans managed to not only survive, but also be accepted within a goblin tribe. You told him the story no green skin in your tribe was allowed to hear. The story of how breeding slaves and work slaves managed to convince the tribe that humans were just pale goblins. And the breeding slaves, who were only allowed to be bedded by strong goblin warriors, suddenly were giving birth to what the goblins called human-shaped goblins. They lacked the intelligence to put two and two together and realized that the slaves just did it amongst themselves. And upon this realization, the human children from the slaves were called the Tall Ones. They were almost instantly accepted as goblins, due to humans being physically stronger than goblins. It was also the reason that common was only told to other tall ones, so that the humans knew that they were humans. Such an interesting dynamic, laughed Doey. But then he came to the thick of it. Well, now that you told me your story, I guess I tell you who I am. You chuckled. Are you a god? Heavens no. So, considering you grew up in a goblin tribe, I think the best way is to just tell you a story. You stepped a little closer to him. Once upon a time, there lived 3 men, loggers, lumberjacks, supplying the kingdom of Laya with wood. The 3 men weren't blood-related, but they were like brothers. A tight-knit bond they cherished. But one day, however, the forest they lived in, logged in, worked in, was set on fire by a rival kingdom. The world for the 3 men was turned upside down. They didn't care about the politics between the upper class. They cared about the fact their livelihood was now just ash. And so the men were forced into the life of adventurers. They already were a group of 3, and while they lacked a healer, a ranger, or the raw power of a barbarian, they could swing axes almost as well as an orc berserker. One day, while adventuring, they came upon a slime-infested cave. A routine job. One of the slimes dripped on the youngest face, and quickly the oldest swiped a knife across the slime's translucent organs to save him. But this action, the first kill, was all it took. And the cave came to life. The walls moved with the wobble of 1,000,000 little goblets, overwhelmed the 3. A mage, a warlock, or a sorcerer would have simply casted a wall of flame for protection, but the 3 weren't so lucky to have magic on their side. One by one they were dragged and devoured by the viscous attackers. Doey stopped speaking for a moment. He sighed, looking at his hands. And yet Div did not claim them. Their bodies were lost, their minds becoming one with the horde, and yet they still felt like themselves. They could see, feel, touch. Their minds in shambles. Until the oldest went mad, thrashing his mind, fighting the comfort, fighting the cold of the greater mass. And Doey looked at you, forcing a smile. Well, I suppose he won. You took another step forward. You are now mere inches away from his humanoid shape, still rooted into the stony, cavernous ground. You placed a hand comfortingly on his cheek. He no longer had conventional lungs, so breathing really was just pulling in air and pushing it out. More for his own comfort, not out of necessity. If that story is true, Doey, that means you've become a king slime. You're truly a magnificent find. I heard stories that my elders told me. They found one of your kind before. You place your other hand on his cheek as well, your thumbs gently brushing over him. See, slimes don't have males, slimes don't have females, but when a mind with a strong will is consumed by them, manages to resist the pull of the greater mass, the entire colony identifies as its new self. You took them over. He could see your widened eyes through the mask. Truly, I'm humbled to be in your presence, great slime. Hitched breaths came out of your mouth. Zuck, You didn't say anything, just grabbed the bottom of the skull, pulling it off. Seeing your fine features, he couldn't help but exhale with excitement. Your skin, still covered Your skin, while covered in a thin layer of cave dust, had a sun-kissed caramel tone to it. Your hair was long, black, and wild. Honestly, until now I thought it was some decoration on your mask. There were a few cuts and bruises on your body. Most seemed fresh, probably given to you as you explored and squeezed through the cave. Others, the older ones, looked like ritualistic skin carvings, probably part of your transformation into a shaman. You were thin, but seductively round in just the right places. It was really hard to believe someone like you came out of a goblin tribe. Though considering the role of shamans, it was quite high in the hierarchy of goblins, just below the chieftain. Perhaps it had been a deliberate choice, probably giving one of the new goblin tall ones a high seat allowed for easier assimilation into the group. A strange feeling of pride overcame Doey. This was the type of craftiness that made humans so dominant over the other intelligent races. Without the mask, the cave's darkness was a little more pronounced now, but the light Doey gave off was comforting. I am looking for a new place for the tribe, and if you became our guardian, there would be thousands of never-told stories just waiting to unfold in front of your very eyes, just to experience them firsthand. Are you interested? Please. All I need is your blessing. Not like I can kill your gelatinous beauty. You destroy me. Not to mention, it should be a crime to murder such a magnificent creature like you. If Doey could blush, he would. Well, I suppose if you ask like that. He rubbed the slime at the back of his head in embarrassment. I can sweeten the deal for you, Doey, if you'd like that. Sweeten? How? I can just show you. You gently reach for his arm, moving it to your chest, forcing it to press down on your flesh. Doey's eyes widened, and you felt his body react to your touch. The glowing slime shifted and folded around your hand and chest, almost like it breathed, almost like it lived. Warm, thick. It wasn't just around you anymore. It slipped and pushed around your almost naked form. Soft at first, then more firm, tasting the salt of your skin. You tensed, but didn't pull back. You leaned into it. Let your weight sink into his hold. Let him support you. You had never felt anything like this before. The slime curled around your thighs, your waist, your lower back. One tendril slid up your spine, slow, deliberate. It made you twitch. You bit your lower lip, felt your pulse pounding. Your chest rose fast, breath short, shaky. Your hand stayed pressed to Doey's chest. The glowing part, the core, it pulsed with steady heat. Pulled at you, your skin, your nerves. Like it was sinking with your body. Hot, clinging. You gasped. It was strange, but not wrong, not at all. You could feel every inch of him, and he felt everything from you. Your heartbeat, your tension, the heat between your legs. He wrapped warmth himself around you. Slow, not to trap, but to hold, to cover, to feel. You floated there, suspended. Your legs were spread without effort. Not forced, just guided. You let it happen. You wanted it to happen. You felt a deep pressure below as a heavier tendril pressed up, testing, waiting. You reached down and touched it. It pulsed, responded, shifted, shaped right under your fingers. Thicker, slick, warm like flesh, but smoother, hotter. Shudder ran through you, head to toe. You grabbed his body tighter, fingers digging in. He made a low sound. Not from a mouth, but everywhere, all around you. You were soaked in him, breathless, eyes wide, your lips parted, but no words came. Too much of his slime was pressed against your mouth. You bubbled. He moved again, closer, deeper, waiting for you, still giving you the choice. You gave her affirming nod just once, and he didn't hesitate after that. Minutes turned to hours. And once the moon rose above the canopies of the forest the cave was located in, you stumbled outside, body dripping with translucent slime, stomach bloated. Outside, the first thing you did was fall to your knees, while your goblin scouts watched you with cautious worry. After vomiting out a torrent of thick, blue slime, you breathed heavily. The cave is ours, you gurgled. Hey, you reached the end of the video. That makes you part of the exclusive club. Our secret password for the month is Morning Glory. Leave it in the comments below to tell your fellow members you watched the video until the very end. Lastly, before we say goodbye, I want to take the opportunity and thank my channel members. ADHD_Neptune, EEGG, Andrejama, Jaws, Melofia, Maxicat, Alison Watkins, Mystic Jade 111, Giovanna Moretti, Twilight Mia, Angry Boxman, and Anonymous Weep. Thank you for being darling stewards, and of course, a big thank you to all the other channel members. It's you who keep me alive. Thank you. Goodbye.